presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, thanks. Good. How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico de Haan and Paige Clark.
Well, good morning. I'm Paige Clark. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle. This is where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, and wild world.
Yes, to recover our natural health and regains our rights and freedoms. And I'm Nico de Haan.
And it is a beautiful day in downtown Clearwater, Florida. 57 degrees. We had to pull out long sleeve shirts today.
Nice. Yeah,
and it was my birthday yesterday, and I think it was the most beautiful
Happy birthday,
day.
Paige.
Thanks, Nick. Trying to catch up with
39.
you. And holding.
Doing well.
I'm still on one of those anniversaries of that birthday, but that's okay. We don't have to count. Who's counting?
And the number here, folks, is 877-927-6648. But before you call us, take a look at our Primal Edge Daily Nutrition right here. And it's over 310
organic, cell-ready liquid nutrients powered by fulvic and humic acids that help get the good stuff in your cells.
And let the bad stuff get out.
And subscribe to our Health Signals newsletter, news you can use in your inbox. Only $10 a month, guys. We put a lot of great links to things that will really help you kind of scale it down and get to the heart of what's really happening in health. And I'm excited about the talk today. A lot of people are bustling around a little bit about this book, The Plant Paradox by Stephen R. Gundry, MD. And I was discussing it with our favorite Primal Kitchen cook, Carolyn, a couple of weeks ago, and then you said you were too. And
well, after the second time you mentioned that, I says, I better read this book.
Well, you know what it is, Nico? What's cool about it is they're writing a book that really is the cornerstone of what you were teaching me when we first met.
Oh, really?
Really. I mean, that impressed me, the fact that the lectins, the fact that there are so-called healthy foods that have substances, which we refer to as lectins or enzyme inhibitors, that are the plant's way of surviving, but they can actually affect our health, cause weight gain and disease. So we're going to discuss this a little bit more. You can see it on the Telestrator. The book is called The Plant Paradox.
Yeah, another thing, too, when I did a research for this, I noticed how many people were debunking this.
And I think that's a great thing, because that's what you and I like to do here.
Yeah.
And so we've pulled some articles that are written by very renowned people in the super pro plant based, because remember, we love plants too. We just want you to eat the plants in the right way, the right plants and in the right way.
Same with the meat.
Same thing with the meat. It's with all food.
Yeah.
It's the sourcing or what we do to the food that can make it good or make it bad.
And the thing with this doctor is that he's really eats a lot of vegetables too. So he's not debunking that vegetables, you shouldn't be eating them. What he's saying, there are certain things that plants do. And the opening statement here is every living thing possesses the drive to survive and pass on its genes to future generations. We consider plants our friends because they feed us, but plants regard all plant predators, including us, as enemies. However, even enemies have their uses. So he's talking really about that the plants really don't want to be eating, and because they can't run away like animals do, then they have to have other defenses.
They have their own defenses, but not all plants are created equal. Some are the very vegetables and fruits to sustain us, and there are some that can harm us. So let's talk about Dr. Gundry, with a more than 40-year career in medicine, where he was best known for his work as a cardiologist and heart surgeon. He has now emerged as more than just a medical cardiac doctor. He has become a very keen nutritional researcher and very focused on dietary health. Sounds like a smart guy. He got down to realizing where the real root cause of the problems are, and it is in our environment, and nutrition is a big part of it.
So the way that plants do this is very different from the animals, but they have lots of different ways of doing it, which is interesting. He said fruit trees which bear seeds enclosed in a hull are one example of the first type of plant seeds. The mother plant relies on animals to eat the seeds before they fall to the ground. The objective is to have the babies wind up some distance away from the mother plants so they don't have to compete for the sun, the moisture, and the nutrients in that area. This increases the species' chance of survival, which is also broadening its range. So if the swallowed seed remains intact, it emerges from the animal in a nice dollop of poop to boost the chance of sprouting. So that's
right.
one example.
Who knows, maybe even in that warm poop, it kind of is an incubator of the seed.
Probably an incubator, and also it's definitely the fertilizer.
Yep, we've got it all built in.
Yeah.
What I want to do, because you've got some really great points, I found this article that kind of highlights, it was from Vital Updates, they kind of highlighted the 3 myths that he kind of exposes. So
Okay.
we'll cover these 3 myths, and then we can go into more detail in the book.
Sure.
So, with this Plant Paradox book, it may change your view of healthy food as well as your relationship with it, and we think this is a very important topic. But we're going to also share with you some, as you said, some of the detractors or some of the people that think it's off base.
Right.
So here are 3 of the myths that Dr. Gundry writes about in the Plant Paradox. Number 1, all plant-based foods are healthy. When most people think of the term healthy foods, many of the items that come to mind include legumes and beans, whole grains, and a variety of vegetables like pumpkins, squash, and potatoes, and fruits like berries and apples. But not all of these healthy foods are good for your gut health. And Dr. Gundry describes them as New World foods. These were discovered when Europeans visited the Americas, and that mankind in Africa, Asia, and Europe had never previously seen or been exposed to them. He believes that many of these foods are historically foreign to our bodies because our gut bacteria and our immune systems were ill-equipped to handle them.
Yeah, and a good example of that would be potatoes, grown in the high Andes, pretty much nowhere else. And, of course, they spread around the world because they were a great piece of nutrition, something you could keep for a while, surrounded, basically a starch. And rice is another one of these things, too. That, the ancient people decided a long time ago white rice was the thing. And here we came along in the 60s and said, oh, no, this is not right.
We need to have the whole grain.
Yeah, in fact, there were some people even promoting just the bran of it. And the bran and the outer shell, the casing, these are all where these things hide into.
These lectins and these enzyme inhibitors are found in these things that are hard to digest. So maybe we can start to see that some of the health foods that we've been eating were actually contributing to the problem.
Yeah.
Myth number 2. A lot of Italians might not like this. Tomatoes are good for you. According to Dr. Gundry, the reason why foods like tomatoes or nightshade or beans and squash are not good for you is because they all contain lectins, which are proteins that are found in plants and animals. And lectins bind to certain sugars and could cause changes in the structure of our cells. And since plants have no real defense mechanism, they produce lectins to ward off predators.
Yeah, now lectins really are a protein, a type of protein. And what the protein does, it binds to the sugars, the sucrose, and that's how it's carried into the body. We've talked before about the
Ages.
problem with, exactly. We're talking about the type of thing that happens in your body when these things bind together and then become sticky and cling to the artery walls.
Yeah, those who
that's
consume
just one example.
Yeah, those who consume lectin-prone foods are prone to gain weight and can have problems with their immune systems. They cause digestive damage and holes in the intestinal wall. So we're going to continue discussing these 3 myths exposed in the Plant Paradox. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back. We're talking about the plant paradox, and we're going over some of the myths and some of the debunking that's going on. So let's continue, Paige.
Yeah, so we talked about the fact that many people, that when they're eating foods that are high in lectins, and we discussed what those foods are, they're incurring intestinal damage. And there are other lectin-loaded foods that include whole grains, wheat, corn, cashews, sunflower seeds, soy, and more. Doesn't that sound like a real attack on the staples of the vegan diet or, vegetarian diet? But you made a really great point before I go on to myth number 3. The point is that this book and this author and our show, we're not saying plant foods are bad. We're saying plant foods can be bad if you don't eat them the right way or get the right plant foods to start with and then prepare them in the right way.
Yeah, and I think you also have to look at your own heritage and what your whole family has been eating, and you're getting more used to those things. But there's a lot of these things, the lectins and these anti-nutrients in these things that we do not get used to. In other words, things like in potatoes. So you cannot eat a potato raw. It's not a food that you can eat raw. And one of the things I've often said is that this is a good way to determine that food is really good for you. If you can eat it raw, it's really good for you. If you can't eat it raw, then you have to do certain things to them to make them at least not harm you.
Very good point. Very good point. So myth number 3 that he covers in his book is that fruits are always a safe choice. Not so, says Dr. Gundry. He says that eating fruit that's in season serves one main purpose for our ancestors. It allowed them to store up their fat to keep them warm through the winter. So there you go. When fruit comes into season, it's there to be that high sugar food to create body fat. Yeah. Now we have fruit available to us all year long, regardless of whether or not it's in season. Moreover, Dr. Gundry reminds us in the plant paradox that we must widen our scope, and that what we classify as fruit, if it has seeds, then it is indeed a fruit.
Course, there's a lot of foods.
Like cucumbers are fruit.
Cucumbers are fruit, so is peanuts, of course, and so are tomatoes. So when is the right time for a predator to consume fruit? Again, the plant uses color of the fruit to signal to predators when it is ripe. which means that the seed's hull has hardened inside, and therefore the sugar content is at its height. Incredibly, the plant has chosen to manufacture fructose instead of glucose as the sugar in the fruit. Glucose raises insulin levels in primates and humans, which initially raises the levels of leptin, and that's a hunger-blocking hormone. But fructose does not block that, so it allows you to eat more fruit, which of course is in the fall.
And then, of course, that causes you to store it.
That's
because
right. So as a result, the predator never receives the normal message that it is full, which would signal it to stop eating. So the animals obtain more calories because it keeps eating more and more of the fruit. And this is the time of year that they're going to need it, because now we're going into a different season.
So would it surprise you that it is that the great apes gain weight only during this time of the year when the fruits are ripe?
Yeah, the animal obtains more calories because it is eating more, and therefore more seeds are in its body, and the plant has a better way of distributing it because it's going through the body. Remember, these seeds are hard. If the seed was soft, like when the fruit is not ripe, it wouldn't pass through, it'd be digested, and the seed wouldn't be liable anymore. So this is nature's way.
So just to highlight again, many of the foods we think of as vegetables like zucchini, tomatoes, bell peppers, eggplant, and pickles are all fruits. Dr. Gundry says eating them tells the body to store fat for the winter. Plus, the glucose found in the fruits causes injury to our kidneys over time. You know, our little nephrons in our kidneys are very small, and that's what we're seeing, the glycation from happening from this. And the only Gundry-approved fruits highlighted in the book include unripened tropical ones like green bananas, green papaya, and mango. The only ripened fruits he recommends is avocado. Yes, avocados are fruits, so we know that.
So plants have long taught us to associate red, yellow, and orange colors with ripeness. However, when we can buy fruit in North America in December, it's likely grown in Chile or another country in the southern hemisphere, picked slightly unripe, then given a blast of oxide when it arrives at its destination. This ethylene oxide changes the color of the fruit to appear ripe and ready to eat. But the lectin content remains high, and the message from the plant is to reduce the lectin content. So again,
they're actually changing the fruit to make it look more appealing, which I can see that so much in conventional fruit. You can see where they've beautified it.
Well, they started that years ago with tomatoes, because tomatoes, once they're ripe, they don't stay ripe for long. So that means that pick them when they're green and then allow them to ripe, or then use some kind of material to simulate that they are ripening or forcing it into. So this is the problem with a lot of things. Things are out of season. We often say, eat seasonally. But when you're eating a banana in September in Michigan, then everything gets out of whack.
And this is exactly what I've been studying with Jack Kruse, You're never going to be right. Your mitochondria is never going to get that. You're going to get a circadian mismatch if you're eating a banana in Boston, in the winter.
And it sounds silly, like it's quite harmless, but now if you have your whole diet mixed up like this, you can see how your body is in confusion. It's going out, and then you're in the middle of the summer and you're eating something that's grown in the winter, or vice versa, and your body's intelligent. It knows what's going on, and when it sees something foreign, normally it'll attack it instead of just absorb it. So there's a lot of things going on that we still don't know about. But certainly the Earth has devised this beautiful system, and we're kind of going contrary to this system, and we're wondering why our head hurts when we keep banging against the wall.
Right, exactly. You got exactly right. And what I like too is, you've got the book pulled up, and we're sharing some key pearls from the book. But I want you to also realize that when I was searching to see other people talking about it, and of course Dr. Mercola embraces this, because Mercola has been on the same page, no pun intended, as us, sharing the fact that, really some of the plant foods are not the healthiest for us, and vice versa, animal foods as well. However, we'll also bring up the fact that Dr. Gerber, who I went to see when he was here locally, real passionate guy, doctor but quite frankly, you know, his plant research is really diabolically opposite of what a lot of the stuff that we see.
And he started this decades ago. He had a book out about 10 years ago that really started this whole process and his way of thinking. And, you know, we've been following this through all the different people that we follow, and we all come to the similar conclusion that we certainly can eat many things, but a lot of times in our modern society, we're not doing the things that we used to do. There's a lot of different foods that we eat now that are manufactured, so we don't know really what the manufacturing is doing.
Listen to this, Nico. This is from Dr. Mercola's review. He's talking a little bit about a quote from, I guess, his interview with Dr. Gundry. What may happen to an insect fairly instantaneously by eating some plant lectins may take years in us who are really giant insects to manifest, right? It may manifest as neuropathy, it may manifest as brain fog, arthritis, or heart disease. But the longer I do this, the more I'm convinced that almost every disease process can be tracked back to plant lectins. That's a long-winded explanation for how plants don't like us. They absolutely don't want to be eaten. They've had 400 million years to work out defense systems. That's a really long time, and they're good at it.
Yeah, sure.
So we got to take a short break. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about, are there healthy foods? Actually healthy foods. Stay with us.
Would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen, live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den, absolutely free, for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And welcome back. Earlier in the show, I gave the illustration of the seeds in a fruit hanging from the tree and how it would encase itself, and then, when it's eaten, the fruit is eaten, then that seed gets passed through the animal. Now we're talking about grass seeds, vines, and other plants that grow out in the open field, and already chose a fertile little spot to grow, usually an open field. They want their babies to fall in place and take root. That way, after the parents die, and these are annuals, so they will die, the baby has a great place to go. There's no advantage for them to discourage the animal or encourage the animal to eating it, because they don't need it going all over the place. They need it to fall there. So what they did, they have different kinds of pesticides and things in the plant. So instead of a hard casing, a naked seed contains one or more chemicals to weaken the predators, paralyze them, or just make them ill so they won't make the mistake of eating it again. And these substances are called phytates, often referred to as anti-nutrients, which prevent the absorptions of minerals in the diet.
They're trypsin inhibitors. Now, trypsin is a protein digestive enzyme. So it means you can't digest them. And this keeps the digestive enzymes from doing their job, interfering with the predator's growth and gaps in the intestinal wall barrier.
And this is the leaky gut syndrome that we often talk about. Whole grains actually contain all three of these defensive chemicals in the fibrous hull, the husk, and the bran.
You're getting like a triple whammy then when you eat quote-unquote healthy whole grains.
And this is one of the reasons we always talk about that rice for thousands of years. Why did these stupid Chinese eat the white rice when we know that brown rice?
They weren't so stupid.
They weren't so stupid.
They knew they had to get rid of those enzyme inhibitors.
And, I went through that whole thing. I did the macrobiotic diet for a couple of years, and I ate the brown rice. I ate it uncooked because it said to. Never felt any better. The idea was great. I was, but it just didn't contribute to my health at all. In fact, it went down. So I switched back later on.
There you go. So let's talk a little bit about how these lectins and these food antinutrients affect us, and really it comes into the role of your microbiome, which is our gut. And one of the things McCullough says that struck him about Dr. Gundry's approach is that it targets the mitochondria and the microbiome, both of which are vital for our optimal health. Few physicians or integrative doctors or health professionals are really up to speed about mitochondrial functions, but we are, because we follow Jack Kruse, and we're mitochondriacs.
Yeah, I read an article a while ago, too, that plants don't like to be eaten, and they know when they're being eaten. And one of the things that he says in the book is there's certain types of plants. One he illustrates is a thale cress. It's a member of the cabbage family, and when it's begins to be eaten by caterpillars, it throws off these chemicals. And they actually did an experiment, so they mimicked the eating of the caterpillar by shaking the plant through a small vibration that the caterpillar uses while it's eating, and right away you could see the chemical coming off the plant.
So the vibration that the plant puts out causes the plant to produce more toxic chemicals. It's like
the vibration
I'm being
that
eaten.
the caterpillar does, yes.
No, the vibration of that the plant's putting out, right?
No, they were shaking the plant with a vibration to simulate how the caterpillar moves when it's eating. So it does shake the plant a little bit for the caterpillar.
So the munching caterpillar actually ups the production of mildly toxic mustard oils and delivers them to the leaves to deter the predators.
Yeah, so this is just another way that different plants do different things, and we have to be aware of these. And somehow our ancestors knew this, because cooking led to us consuming much more vegetables, because cooking actually is one of the things to get rid of these phytates and some of these lectins.
Right, and that's why cooking actually allowed us to grow. And early on in our cooking, it wasn't just meat we were cooking. They were learning in times of leanness. Our predecessors were probably eating some of these plants and getting sick.
Yeah,
and then they figured out they could fix it and we could get by with it.
So these lectins, they're large proteins found in plants and animals, and they are a crucial weapon in the arsenal of strategies that plants use to defend themselves on the ongoing battle with animals.
Well, that's right. And getting back to the concept of the importance of the microbiome, let's talk a little bit about it. As Dr. Gundry says, our microbiome is our early warning system, because 99% of all the genes that make up the human body are actually non-human. They're bacterial or viral. We've talked about that often. We are more foreign beings than we are ourselves, so to speak. And we're beginning to realize that the microbiome is not only how we interact with the plant materials, like lectins, but probably more importantly, our microbiome teaches our immune system whether a particular plant compound is a friend or a foe, or how long we've known that plant compound. And this is really funny, Nico. He says, there are lectins in everything, but the longer we've interacted with the lectins and the longer our microbiome has interacted with them, the more our microbiome kind of tells our immune system, hey guys, it's cool. I know who this cat is. We've known these guys for 40 million years. They're a pain in the butt, but we can handle them. But from an evolutionary standpoint, if you look at modern foods like the grains, the beans, the foods we haven't been eating except for the last 10,000 years.
Probably less than that.
Yeah, or even less than that. Our microbiome regards them as foreign invaders, as foreign substances. There's no lectin speed dating in evolution.
Right.
There's no making this happen in a fast way.
Yeah. If you look at the evolutionary path that we took, we, in the beginning, probably ate plants a lot, and then when we got down from the trees, if we follow this kind of chronology, then we're standing up, and now we're eating things that are much lower. We're eating a lot of animals because we learned to hunt, and we got our energy from that, so our brains grew bigger. But then the next stage where our brain grew even bigger was when we started cooking them. And that allowed us to eat more plants in a much more healthy way, and it just gave us more diversity in both plants and animals. So cooking was a big, big step in getting rid of a lot of these lectins and a lot of these phytates and things like that.
I like this too. He says, with regard to mitochondria, mitochondrial flexibility is one of the unique things that make us human. Whether you ascribe to the evolutionary theory or not, humans and apes have many genetic similarities, but the ability to store fat is a unique human feature. No other great apes can do that. Chimps, gorillas, and orangutans carry 3% body fat. Imagine that, you know, when you see how big they are.
Yep.
Few humans could ever achieve that low of body fat percentage unless we were near death from starvation.
But also the gorillas and the chimpanzees, they have these little pockets just like the ruminants do, so they can ferment those, because they eat a lot of leaves and grass and things like that, that we cannot eat because of that.
Yeah, see, most of us no longer have the metabolic flexibility that we were designed to have because we've been constantly bombarding our mitochondria with an overload of glucose as a fuel.
Yeah.
And that really underlies why we have the disease processes we're seeing today in chronic disease.
So if we go
Powerful stuff,
go back to those little pouches that the gorillas have, this is where the food is being fermented. So they're able to eat this food and then ferment it. We don't have that, so we still have to ferment it, folks. We have to do this outside our body. That's the only difference. And this is what we learned as our ancient ancestors somehow learned all this stuff, and pretty much we've forgotten, especially these last few hundred years ever since the Industrial Revolution. We started making food. We started making Kellogg's cornflakes, extruding them through in high heat processes and changing the food. And all of a sudden, when we changed the food, we became sicker as a nation, and we can certainly see that in our society today.
So, yeah, so when we get back, we'll give you some ideas. What are some of the strategies that Dr. Gundry recommends to improve your metabolic flexibility and avoid the dangers of lectins?
We'll be right back.
And we'll be right back. Stay with us.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
And welcome back. Living a Primal Lifestyle, talking about lectins and the plant paradox. Lectins are sometimes referred to as sticky proteins. Because of this binding process, it means that they can interrupt messaging between cells and otherwise cause toxic or inflammatory reactions. And we have an epidemic of inflammatory disease in this country. If you've ever experienced brain fog, you can thank lectins. Lectins also facilitate the attachment and binding of viruses and bacteria to their intended targets. So they're a helper of these interferers. Believe it or not, some people, those who are more sensitive to lectins, are therefore more subject to viral and bacterial infections than others. Think about that if you seem to get sick more often than your friends do. You might want to take a look. So what does he have to share with us? You know, you want to talk a little bit about you have something you wanted to share on stomach acid, I think.
Well, you know, one of the first thing that happens when the food goes in our stomach, then we get that spritz of hydrochloric acid, and the acid is what helps break down some of these things. But stomach acid, it not only keeps eating foods that are designed to hurt us, but it also feeds them to animals. So not only are we taking these foods, which are a little bit foreign to us, they've not been prepared properly, but also we feed our animals the same way. So they pretty much get the same types of diseases. You know, now we have cats and dogs that are getting arthritis and
we
things.
think you know, I see people saying, oh, we had some leftover lasagna and we gave it to Fido.
Yeah.
And Fido
Well,
is not designed to eat lasagna.
Exactly. Left to their own devices, cows would never consume corn or soybeans. Their natural diet is grasses and other foraging types of things. But if they're led into an industrial farm and you only put one food in front of them, they're forced to eat that. They want to live. So, you know, not only are you what you eat, you're also what the animals or the plants have eaten.
Yeah.
So all these pesticides that are going into our plants, all these chemical fertilizers that are going into the plants, those things are passed on from the plants to us. It just makes sense. Do we always consider grass-fed beef better because they're eating their natural? Well, that's true, but also think the plants eat too. And if we're feeding them with inferior products or chemicals that we've made up or even changing the way they are through GMO, then you can see that if now we're consuming these on a continuous basis, it's going to hurt us. If we do it once in a while, If you go out to an Italian restaurant, have a little pasta with a little tomatoes in it, and you do that once a month, probably no harm will come
But
to
if
you.
it becomes part of your staple, so WWGD, what would Gundy do?
What would
What
Gundry
do?
Okay.
How does Dr. Gundry address this issue? How does intermittent fasting boost your mitochondrial flexibility? Because we just said your mitochondria and your microbiome are in your gut, and they're involved in this interaction with, are these foods friend or foe? So one of the strategies Dr. Gundry recommends and uses to improve his own metabolic flexibility is intermittent fasting. We've been talking and sharing that for a long time, for nearly a decade now. He fasts for 22 hours a day, 5 days a week, from January through June.
Wow.
Which means he eats all his calories for the day during a 2-hour window. On the weekends, he eats lunch and dinner. That's interesting.
Well, it's probably how our ancestors, maybe 50,000 years ago ate. They had food for a while.
That's kind of a hibernary type of
Yeah.
time. You were trying to get your food in the coldest of winter to last a long time, so you only ate one meal. You probably slept and conserved energy. He says, I don't eat breakfast. I don't eat lunch. I eat my calories between 6 and 8 o'clock at night. I do that because my wife and I are at home at that time. If I was really smart, I would eat earlier in the day, but you've got to be practical in one way or another, he says. In summer, I'll have a smoothie with some MCT oil in it, half an avocado, some romaine lettuce, spinach, half a lemon, and a little bit of vanilla or stevia. He eats a lot like me, I like my stevia, I like my avocados. Yeah. Then I won't eat lunch. At dinner, same sort of thing. I try to pack all my calories in between 6 and 8 o'clock. So he says that in June 1st, he finishes his winter fast, if you will. So January to June, he only has that one meal a day. Now, why does he do that? As he says, historically, food was a rare thing to find during the winter.
Makes sense.
Again, our metabolic advantage is we're really good at starvation. It's what allowed us to survive. We know that during food scarcity, not only do our mitochondria rev up, but more importantly, our entire immune system and genetic monitoring basically goes on full alert. Let's look, times are tough. We don't know when the next good food supply is. Let's be on guard. Let's be strong. We got to make it through to the next period. We're going to look after every cell in our body, and we're going to look at whether we're pulling their own weight. When you stop and think about it, that's when you're sharp. You're razor sharp when you're hungry because you're looking.
Yeah, and you better be stealthy, you better be quiet, you better know how to hunt, you better know how to fish, you better know which plants to eat and what to do to them.
Yeah.
Those things you need to do. There's a complete difference in our food these days, and one of the illustrations here in the book is talking about milk and cheese from a cow grazing on grass in the summer and hay in the winter.
And a burger that's made.
Yeah, that's made
from
in a
a CAFO.
stockyard. Exactly.
Right.
So, and what really changes in this, and we've talked about this before, it's the omega-3 and omega-6 ratio. Omega-6 being inflammatory, omega-3 being anti-inflammatory, both essential, but in the
right ratio.
Exactly right.
1 to 1, 3 to 1.
Yeah. So
Not the 20 to 1 that they're getting in a corn-fed steak or
right.
whatever.
And corn and soy contain primarily omega-6 fats, while grass is high in omega-3. But it's more than that, he says. Remarkably, these same soybeans and grains make cows much fatter than they do the equivalent number of calories in grass. This means that the source of calories plays an important role in how you metabolize them. Keep in mind when we discuss weight gain. The compounding issue is, of course, in the United States, almost all soy and all corn is produced from genetically modified seeds. So that's the double whammy right there. Not only are they bad for us in the beginning if you don't prepare them correctly, but they're worse when you have the GMO, because we have no idea at this time what GMO will really do to us.
We still don't.
No.
And yet we're being pushed to accept this. We are the experiment. We are the laboratory.
Yeah, and
we are a living laboratory, and I just don't like it.
And there have been experiments done, not on this country, but in the Ukraine and
And
Russia.
the experiments have proven it ain't right, and that's why these countries
Yeah, and
aren't
what they're
allowing
proving, folks, is not that the generation that you see them getting fat in this generation, but what happens in 2 or 3 generations down the line in mice and rats, everything changes. You come out a different type of animal. And, what are our children going to be like in 2 more generations when they start consuming
Well,
all
unless
this?
we can get these messages to them. I mean, these messages of, how we metabolically get strong. You know, Mercola says he used to do a 14 to 16-hour intermittent fast because he felt that it was wise to increase glycogen stores prior to strength training, and he's come to realize that's not true. In fact, it's counterproductive, as carbs after strength training can increase insulin and diminish the IGF response and blunt the anabolic stimulus. So now he fasts for 18 to 20 hours a day, and he does all his strength training in a fasted state.
Wow.
So you're seeing more and more people moving to that one master meal.
It's pretty interesting how the shift is. And
Well,
these
if people say they can't afford to eat healthy, I'm saying you probably can if you start to just follow some good metabolic health.
Yeah.
You know, we'll explore this more. We got to take a short break, but I hope you'll stay with us.
Yeah, and it's just enough time, folks, to pick up your Primal Edge. Do that right now. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Hi folks, this is Tom O'Brien. If you'd like to be the bank and get the type of interest they receive instead of the low interest rates they give to clients, then I have an investment you may want to take a look at. I'm offering 4-year secured first mortgages on buildable city lots in St. Petersburg, Florida. The investment can be anywhere from $30,000 to $75,000 per buildable city lot. The interest paid is 7% per year, paid monthly. Depending on the investment, the income per month per lot ranged from $175 for a $30,000 investment to $437.50 for a $75,000 investment. If you are in the CD market, you want to look at this investment. St. Petersburg is located in Pinellas County, which is the densest county in Florida. If you're looking for an investment with your principal intact that pays a good interest rate, this may be for you. The supply is limited, so act now. For more information on these secured first mortgage opportunities, you can call me at 877-518-9190. That's 877-518-9190.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors.
And welcome back to the show. So many people pour their time and energy and hard-earned cash into shake mixes, supplements, and specialty foods, and they think that this time and money is well spent in making them healthy because it's supposedly a good choice.
Maybe they're wrong, you know. Maybe we're spending too much money on foods when, in fact, if we just were more selective in the real foods, what if those healthy choices aren't actually healthy at all? And, Dr. Gundry created the Plant Paradox Eating Program. It turns out that even healthy foods, as we said, like fruits and vegetables, can actually do your body harm. How do you know? As we summarized today, why is this a problem? Because plants don't want to be eaten, just like animal foods. They don't want to be eaten either. They simply want to survive, and one of the ways they defend themselves are with these lectins and these anti-nutrients and small toxins that discourage predators.
They have a really good list here of yes things. I wanted to pay the attention more to the no list. So let's go over some of these no lists. And first thing that is there is the starchy, refined foods.
Starchy foods, right.
And there's the pasta, rice, potatoes, potato chips, milk, bread, tortillas, pastry, flour, cookies, crackers, cereal, sugar, of course, and all the other sugary types of things that we put in there.
Sure, and you know, we talked about vegetables like tomatoes, unless they're peeled and de-seeded. You know, this goes back to a lot of old Italian families. They knew to take those seeds out.
Yeah, and I have visions of me doing that in the kitchen helping my mother, and then later forgot it.
Yeah, me too.
I remember the cucumbers. She said, no, take those seeds out, take those seeds. And then the skin. I remember her telling me this thing. So these things we inherently knew and later on forgot, folks.
So, you know, a lot of us were told, oh, no, leave that peel on. That's where you get a lot of the nutrients.
That's
a lot of the anti-nutrients. Maybe they forgot that little word there. And so you get your beans and your chickpeas and your soy. Soy is usually not a toy for the girl or the boy.
Yeah, and it's interesting. A lot of cultures have used a lot of these things on the no list, but used them more as condiments. Use them to spice up the food a little bit, so using very little, and that little bit might be just enough to stimulate your immune system instead of attacking your immune system. Remember, the little poisons, if you use them on a real low level, can stimulate things in you to all of a sudden to improve your immune systems because you're getting that. But if you eat too much of it, then it's being attacked.
Right, and I think that, this no list is really interesting. Basically, it's all fruits, except in season fruit.
Yes.
And so that's a really crucial thing. And what does Matt say here? How does a potato peel fit in on the list from a baked potato? Example. That's the peel is that there's a lot of protection in the potato. Potato skins we're not supposed to be eating. These are high lectin content. You know, after it's cooked, it might be more digestible, but
it's more digestible, certainly, but it's not a good food. If you burn it, it's, I used to burn those potatoes on the outside, and then you have your little charcoal that can help you get rid of some of the ingredients in there. So,
it's like Carolyn was telling us. She's been making these, more paleo primal things like muffins that are made from almond flour using nut flours. But after reading this book, she said she actually sought out skinless almond flour. So think about that.
Just make it just a little bit more
skin,
healthy.
Yeah, that little skin on the almond is where there are some lectins hiding. That almond, nature is doing everything to protect its seed in humans and in plants.
Yeah. So I wouldn't eat potatoes myself, but if you're going to eat them, I would peel them. In a baked potato, I just wouldn't eat them. But, you have to make your own choices, folks. If you like them and you eat them, no big deal. But
I like where he says this on the no list. He says non-Southern European cow's milk products.
Yes,
in other words, we used to have, and I have a topic in my file here for talking about you're drinking the wrong kind of dairy. The whole A1, A2, very important. Dairy can be a healthy food if you source it from the right place, if it's the right A2 milk, and if it's fermented and that kind of a thing. So
you have to do your own research, folks, and this is why we're here.
The Plant Paradox by Dr. Gundry.
Highly recommended. Good source of information.
Have a wonderful day, great weekend. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.